Lecture number 26 for engineering statics over section 10.4. We're going to continue learning about moments of inertia, but now we're going to do it over composite areas, and we are going to use the tables that you got in class, or if you want to find them, they are in the back of the textbook, which is linked in Schoology. So we're going to start here talking about composite shapes. So a composite area, which we worked with previously when we did centroids, that's where you heard this before. A composite area is made by adding or subtracting a series of simple shaped areas like rectangles, triangles, and circles. So in the example on the right, you can have a large rectangle plus a triangle on the top, and then if you subtract this interior rectangle, you would be able to have the composite area or whatever you were trying to calculate. So the moment of inertia about the centroidal axes of some simple shapes are shown here. You've got a circular area, a rectangular area, and a triangular area. And we're going to use all of those as our tables as the basis for our simple shapes when we are doing our composite calculations. So steps for determining the moment of inertia of the area for a composite area. First, divide the area into its simpler shaped parts. Divide the area into its simpler shaped parts. And we're going to locate the centroid of each part and indicate the perpendicular distance from each centroid to the desired reference axis. In other words, if we are looking for the x-axis, we're going to use the y distance. If we're looking for the y-axis, we're going to be using the x distance. Number 3 is we are going to determine the moment of inertia for each simpler shaped part. Determine the moment of inertia of the simpler shaped parts about the desired reference axis and using the parallel axis theorem. Which we learned about last time. The last thing we're going to do is take all that information and perform an algebraic summation. I don't know if I have enough room to write everything. An algebraic summation of the individual moments of inertia. Of inertia. And note that the moment of inertia of a whole is subtracted. It's negative. So when we do some of these shapes, you might end up subtracting pieces out, kind of like we did when we were calculating centroids. So let's look at some examples. So my first example here, I have got a rectangle and a triangle. I am going to label my rectangle as part number 1 and my circle, I think I said triangle before, as part number 2. My circle is going to be part number 2, so I'm going to subtract part number 2. So from the tables, I'm going to look up, now it is asking about the x-axis, so from the tables, for a rectangle, the moment of inertia about the x-axis equals, I'm going to put a bar over it to show that it's from the centroid is 1/12 times bh cubed, base times the height cubed, and for a circle, it is pi times r to the 4th over 4. All right, so we are going to use our handy dandy tables like we did for our centroids. So in order to use our tables, we need to figure out what we need. So first, I'm going to have whichever part we need. I then need to calculate the area. I need to calculate the perpendicular distance, which in this case is going to be in the y direction from the axis. And then I am going to calculate I of x using our information from the tables. And I'm going to get the actual I of x by using my parallel axis theorem, which is that I of x plus AD squared. So that's what that I of x is going to be. That's going to be my final answer. So this is what I'm going to need for my table to get all my information. So let's start with part number 1. Its area, it is just a rectangle, and it is 100 by 150. And these numbers do get pretty big. Equals 15,000, sorry. And my distance y from the x-axis is going to be this 75 meters. To its centroid from the x-axis, its centroid is marked here in the middle. So I just need this perpendicular distance from the x-axis, which is 75 millimeters. So that's going to be 75. And so now I can calculate its I of x being 1/12 times the base times the height cubed. So that's going to be 1/12 times the base, which is 100, times its height, which is 150 cubed. And that equals, throw that into my calculator, I get some huge number, 2812500. So now using my parallel axis theorem, I'm going to take that number and I'm going to add the area times the distance squared. And in my calculator, that gives me 1125 and 5 zeros. Now I need to do part 2. Remember, it's going to have a negative area because I'm taking it out of the shape. So it's going to have a negative, and the area of a circle is negative pi r squared, which r is 25 squared, which equals negative 1963 with some change. And my distance again to its centroid is 75 millimeters from the x-axis, since we're doing I of x. So now I can plug in my I of x, which is pi times r to the 4th over 4, which remember, it is going to be negative again. So negative pi times 25 to the 4th over 4, which equals negative 306,796.16. The reason it's negative is because we're taking that away. And we are also going to subtract and do AD squared. So when we add AD squared to that negative, and the area is negative, so it's going to be adding, it's going to be an even bigger negative number. I'm going to get negative 11351,458, something around that. So now what I do to get my total is I just sum my I of x column. So I'm going to sum these two numbers together. And when I add them together, I get that I of x, so my total about the x-axis, is 101.15 times 10 to the 6th millimeters to the 4th. And using scientific notation, you could make that number be 10 to the 8th and be only 1.01. It would be the same value. So that's how I'm going to get that for my example. So let's do another example. In this one, I already took liberty of drawing out our picture, but I forgot to add the axis in there. So the axis is somewhere here in the middle. So this is the X, and this is the Y. I'm going to label my parts. So this is part 1, this is part 2, and this is part 3. You can draw your shapes slightly differently. If you cut the rectangles at different places, you should end up with the same answer. The other thing I want to note is that, I'm going to move this a little bit so I can write that from the table for rectangles, it is asking us for the I of X and I of Y. So for rectangles, I of X equals 1/12 of BH cubed, and I of Y equals 1/12 HB cubed. So let's find our I of X first. So I'm going to start my table and make this kind of small because I got to fit everything in. So I'm going to have the part number, then I'm going to have the area, then I need the perpendicular distance to the centroid. So if you remember, that's going to be D of Y. Then I'm going to calculate I of X. And then using the parallel axis theorem, I'm going to calculate my final I of X. So remember, this is going to be I of X plus AD squared. It's the parallel axis theorem. All right, those are all the things I need. So I'm going to calculate my I of X first. So I'm going to start with part number 1. Its area is 100 times 300, which equals 30,000. Its distance, so remember, this is the Y distance. So I'm looking from the centroid, so at the center of the axis, because it's asking for it about that axis, that X axis that's shown in red. So it is going to be half of 100, because that's where it sits for part number 2. It's that far off, plus half of the height, which is 300, which equals a total of 200. And then I of X is going to be 1/12 times the base, which is 100, times its height cubed, which is 300 cubed, which equals some number, some big long number like 225,000,000, 6 zeros, I think. It looks like an awful lot of zeros. So my I of X, I'm going to add my area times the distance squared, and that's going to give me 1425 with 6 zeros. 6. All right. Then I've got part number 2. And it is 600 by 100, which gives me 60,000. Its distance, its center is on the x-axis at the centroid, so there's no vertical distance, so it's 0. And this is 1/12 times its base, which is 600, times its height cubed, which is 100 cubed, equals 5 and 5, 6, 7. And so I of X is going to be the same because there is no D. So it's going to be 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. last part, number 3, and it's 100 by 300. It is the same as the part number 1, so I'm just going to duplicate what is there for part number 1 because it's exactly the same. It's going to have exactly the same distance, it's just in the opposite direction, but it is still that far away from the x-axis perpendicular distance. And then this is going to be 1/12 times 100 times 300 cubed, which equals 225 with 6 zeros. 3, 4, 5, 6. So when I actually plug all of it into my calculator, I end up with 1425 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when I add all those giant numbers together, I get that I of x equals 2.900 times 10 to the 9th millimeters to the 4th. All right, let's do the same thing, but for the y-axis. So now my d is going to be the distance from the x part of the centroid because it is the perpendicular distance. So let's do the same thing. So I'm going to start my table with my part, then my area, then my distance, this time x direction. Then I'm going to have my I of y bar, and I'm going to have my total I of y. So let's, all right, so now part 1, my areas are going to be the same, so I'm going to use the exact same numbers I used up above. I'm not going to recalculate the areas. So I know part number 1 is 30,000. And its distance in the x direction, you're going to have half of the 600 minus half of the 100, which equals 250. And its I of y is 1/12 times 300 times 100 cubed, which equals 2, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6. A little bit different. And so I of y, when we add all that together, we're going to get 19, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just keep everything in the calculator. Keep your totals in the calculator. And you're going to multiply that one by 2 because area 3 is exactly the same. So I'm going to make that note, area 1 and 3. So we're going to need to multiply this one by 2. And then I'm going to do part 2, which we know our area from up above was 60,000. Its distance, it is on the centroid, is where the y-axis is of that part. Its I of y bar is 1/12 times 100 times 600 cubed, which equals a really big number, 18, 6, 7, 8. That doesn't quite seem right, but I know it's in my calculator. It is 18, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that. When I add them together in my calculator, please don't count my zeros. I might be slightly off, but they're in my calculator, and I know in the end I got 5.60 times 10 to the 9th millimeters to the 4th. Yay. So I think I've got one more example, but I'm going to do it in a separate video if you'd like to practice. It's actually pretty quick. I just feel like this video is long enough.